I hadn't even hung the first picture inside my dream home before I was treated like a criminal. One of my new neighbors dialed 911 screaming that I was trespassing and aggressive while I stood on my own front lawn. That single phone call lit the fuse for a war with the HOA that nearly broke me before I learned how to fight back. It started on what should have been a perfect day. The sky was an impossible blue, the kind that makes you feel like you finally made it. I had my brand new camera around my neck, the one I'd worked 2 jobs for years to afford, and I was standing in front of my 2-story colonial white siding. Green shutters porch swing I'd installed myself. I wanted one simple thing to capture that moment of pride to freeze the picture of the house I'd sacrificed nearly a decade to buy. That's when she appeared. A short, heavy-set woman in a gray tracksuit, bleached blonde helmet of hair sprayed stiff. Her face twisted like I'd personally insulted her existence. She pointed at me from the sidewalk and hissed, "I've seen your type before. You don't belong here. Put the camera away before I make you." At first, I honestly thought she must be joking or delirious from the heat. I tried being polite, smiling, gesturing to my house. "Ma'am, this is my home. I just moved in. I'm just taking pictures." Wrong move. She went red like I'd confessed to a felony. "Your house. Don't lie. The Ainsworths lived here, a respectable family. You are not an Ainsworth." That word respectable hit like a slap. I told her calmly, "Yes, the Ainsworths sold me the house. Here are my keys. I can show you the deed." She cut me off. "You're casing the place. I know you're kind. I'm calling the police." I knew exactly how this script would play out. She pulled out her sparkly phone and dialed 911, suddenly performing terror for the operator. "He's aggressive. He's threatening me," she whimpered while I just stood there gripping my camera. Aggressive, that magic word. My heart sank. Within minutes, 2 police cruisers came barreling down Elm Street, lights flashing. 3 officers jumped out, hands resting on their weapons. Guess who they turned toward? Not the trembling woman, but me standing in jeans and a t-shirt on my own damn lawn. She rushed to them, painting me as hostile. I lifted my own phone recording. It was all I had. They demanded ID. I told them my wallet was in my car, and yes, I'd show them, but I asked first, am I being detained? "What crime am I suspected of?" That cooled the older officer down. He walked me to my car, watched as I pulled out my driver's license and the thick packet of closing documents. The younger one, practically salivating for me to slip up, looked disappointed when the proof checked out. "Everything appears to be in order," the older cop finally said. Those words cracked her like glass. She sputtered, accusing me of forgery, babbling that I'd ruined the neighborhood. The officer told her flat out she was the one harassing me and to go home. She left with a look so poisonous I swear it could have curdled milk. I thought that was the end. I was wrong. That night, an email arrived. "Welcome to the Elm Street HOA." Attached was a mountain of regulations. Buried in the fine print was a brand new rule: any photography on properties required prior HOA approval. I didn't need a signature at the bottom to know who had pushed that through. The next week was death by paper cuts, a violation notice for a single dandelion in my yard, another because my trash bin sat on the curb 3 hours too long. $50 fines each with grainy photos slipped under my wiper. My perfect house was starting to feel like a prison. I sank onto the porch swing one night exhausted. For the first time, I wondered if I'd made a mistake. Maybe my sister was right. Maybe this neighborhood wasn't for me. Maybe I should cut my losses and move. I hated myself for even thinking it. I'd bled for this house. Why did I still feel like a trespasser? But then I noticed something odd while flipping through my closing documents. The survey map didn't line up with the hedge that separated my yard from hers. I measured, checked again, and felt a thrill run through me. 5 feet of her beloved rose garden wasn't hers at all. It was mine. I called a professional survey crew. A few days later, in broad daylight, they drove stakes lined with pink ribbons straight through the middle of her prized roses. Neighbors peeked through curtains as Beatrice stormed across her lawn, sputtering, "This is harassment." I waved politely. "No, ma'am. Just making sure I comply with HOA rules about respecting property lines." Her face, when those stakes cut her garden in half, that was the first time the balance of power shifted. I wasn't alone either. My neighbor George stopped me one evening while walking his dog. "Don't let her scare you. She's bullied folks here for years." Good to see someone finally standing up to her. That small show of support pulled me out of the fog. I wasn't crazy, I wasn't wrong. She was. From then on, it was war. I prepared to build a white picket fence right along the surveyed line. She countered by dragging the HOA board onto her lawn one morning, waving a paper they claimed was an emergency bylaw passed in a secret meeting, no fences without unanimous board approval. They thought I'd back down. Instead, I opened the HOA binder and read it aloud. Article 4, Section 8. Homeowners may erect a 48-inch white picket fence on the property line without board approval. She knew it word for word, probably wrote it herself years ago, and now it boxed her in. She shrieked, "This is a symbol of aggression." I stared her down. "The only aggression here was you calling the cops on me for standing in my yard. This fence is a boundary you ignored for 40 years. It's going up." The crew went back to digging post-hole diggers, crunching into the earth. Her allies wilted, muttering excuses and walking off. She was left standing alone, trembling with fury. She screamed, "You'll regret this. You've made an enemy today." I didn't bother to answer. I let the sound of fence posts sinking into concrete speak for me. Each one was a nail in the coffin of her reign. By afternoon, a crisp white fence cut cleanly across the land she had stolen. Her roses were ripped out her stone bench, dragged to her side, and she could do nothing. For once, she was the trespasser. That was the day I finally felt like the house was mine. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this: bullies only win if you stay silent. Stand your ground, and the truth will bury them faster than any fence ever could.